Hello and welcome to vpod.ai. I'm Mike and I am really ready to get into it today. We are not just scratching the surface, we're taking a sledgehammer to one of the most established pillars of modern society.
It's great to be here.
Joining me to help swing that hammer, metaphorically of course, is our resident expert.
And sledgehammer might just be the right word, honestly. The research we have on the table today is pretty unrelenting. It challenges a lot of assumptions we all hold about higher education.
It really does. But before we start tearing down that ivory tower, I have a quick message for everyone listening.
Okay.
You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit vpod.ai to get started today.
Short, simple, and to the point.
Exactly. Now let's pivot to the heavy stuff. Today we are talking about the university. And for most of us, that word conjures up a very specific vibe, right?
Mm-hmm.
The brick buildings, the autumn leaves, the professors in tweed jackets. It feels so permanent, like it's been there forever and will be there forever.
Right. It's that ivory tower archetype. It's designed to project stability. But the analysis we're looking at today paints a radically different picture. It suggests that this stability is actually an illusion. The central argument here isn't just that universities are struggling a bit, it's that they are potentially failing the very future they're supposed to be building.
That is a massive claim, failing the future. So where do the cracks start to show? Because from the outside, it looks like business as usual. Tuition is up, applications are up at the top schools. What is the data seeing that we aren't?
It starts with the pace of change. I mean, the world is moving at a digital exponential speed, while higher education is still largely operating on analog linear timeline. So we're seeing a collision of three big things: rapid technological shifts, a completely new economic reality for students, and a mental health crisis that is, frankly, going unaddressed. And the harsh reality is that many institutions are simply not ready. They're scrambling to catch up.
Scrambling is the right word.
Yeah.
Let's unpack this, starting with something that feels like it should be a total slam dunk by now: technology.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's 2026. Every college has Zoom. Every class has an online portal. My nephew submits his homework on an app. So surely they are tech ready, right?
You would think so. But the analysis makes a very sharp and honestly quite critical distinction here. Having the tools is not the same as having a strategy.
Okay.
There is a massive difference between digitization and digital transformation.
Okay, lay that out for me. What's the real difference?
Digitization is just taking an analog process and putting it on a screen, taking a 90-minute lecture, recording it, and putting it on a server. That's digitization.
So it's the same old product, just in a new wrapper.
Exactly. And frankly, it's often a worse product. Watching a 90-minute lecture on a laptop is agonizing compared to being in the room.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Digital transformation, on the other hand, means using that technology to fundamentally change how learning happens. And this is where the research says universities are failing. Their approach has been described as ad hoc and reactive.
Reactive. That makes sense. I'm assuming this goes back to the pandemic.
It does. The pandemic was the catalyst. It forced a sudden, almost violent shift to remote learning. And while schools sort of patted themselves on the back for surviving it, the data shows it exposed these massive structural holes.
So they bought the webcams and the licenses.
But they didn't change the infrastructure.
It's like buying a Tesla but trying to run it on diesel fuel.
That is a surprisingly accurate analogy. The analysis highlights three missing pillars that are preventing real digital readiness. The first is faculty training. And I don't just mean showing them how to unmute themselves.
Right, we've all seen that struggle. Can you hear me now? For 20 minutes straight.
Exactly. We're talking about pedagogical training for a digital environment. Just because someone has a PhD in astrophysics doesn't mean they know how to run an engaging digital seminar. The skill sets are totally different.
But universities just assume they transfer.
They do, and they don't. So the teachers are frustrated and the students are bored.
Okay, so that's pillar one. What's the second?
Robust IT support systems.
Yeah.
You can't run a modern data-heavy university on legacy systems. We see reports of servers crashing during finals week or portals that are incompatible with modern devices. It creates so much friction.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. The last thing you need during an exam is a 404 error.
It is. And the third pillar, which is arguably the most damning in the report, is equitable access. The digital divide.
Right. If the school assumes everyone has a fiber optic connection at home, they're missing a huge chunk of their student body.
Precisely. If your entire educational model relies on high-speed tech and the latest hardware, you are immediately filtering out lower-income students. The research shows that universities often design for the ideal student.
The one with the MacBook Pro and the quiet home office.
And they ignore the reality of the student logging in from a shared computer in a noisy apartment with spotty Wi-Fi.
So until they fix the training, the systems, and the access, all this ed tech talk is just a buzzword.
It's a coat of paint on a crumbling wall, and that leads us directly into the next big issue. The actual structure of the education itself.
The lifestyle, yeah. When I think of the college experience, I still picture being 18 years old, packing up a minivan, moving into a dorm, and studying full-time for 4 years.
And that is the old way. That is the model the entire system was built around. But here's the friction. That model is obsolete.
Obsolete, that's a strong word.
But it's the reality for the modern student population. The typical student isn't just an 18-year-old with zero responsibilities anymore. Today's students are. Well, they're diverse. They are balancing education with full-time jobs, with families, with caring for aging parents. They have complex lives.
So the idea of just pausing your life for 4 years to go read books in a tower, that just doesn't work for most people.
Exactly. And universities know this, in theory. They claim to offer flexibility. You see the brochures for hybrid learning or flexible schedules.
Oh, all the time.
But the analysis suggests these are often surface-level initiatives. It's marketing, not structural change.
So they say, we're flexible, but if you miss a Tuesday at 2 p.m. lecture, you're still in trouble.
Or the support systems just aren't there. Think about it. If you're a working parent taking night classes, is the financial aid office open when you're on campus? Is the library?
Probably not, no.
Usually not. The administration still runs on a 9-to-5 banking schedule, even if the classes don't.
That's a great point. It's not just about class time. It's about the whole ecosystem being closed when you need it most.
And there's a huge missed opportunity here that the research highlights. Micro-credentials and modular courses.
Micro-credentials. That sounds like something you get in a video game. Achievement unlocked. Excel pivot tables.
It's actually a very powerful concept. It's this idea of skills on demand. Instead of a 4-year degree, maybe you just need a 6-week intense certification in data analysis to get a promotion.
Or a modular course in project management. Just-in-time learning.
Precisely. If I'm 35 and I need to pivot careers, I don't have 4 years. I might have 4 months.
Many people would sign up for that in a heartbeat.
They would. But the data shows these options remain severely underdeveloped. Universities are still holding on to the degree as the only valid currency.
So they're gatekeeping knowledge because they like the shape of the gate.
That's one way to put it. They are prioritizing the format over the function of education, which brings us to the people inside the system.
We've talked about the tech and the schedule, but what about the humans? What is the student experience actually like right now, beyond the classroom?
This is where we get into what I would call the human crisis. The analysis emphasizes the urgent need for a student-centric approach.
Student-centric. That sounds like corporate buzzword bingo. Shouldn't schools always be student-centric? Isn't that the whole point?
You would hope so. But historically, universities have been institution-centric. They prioritize the tradition, the faculty, the reputation. The student is just the person passing through. But the shift we need and aren't seeing enough of is caring for the student's actual well-being.
Right. And you can't talk about well-being without talking about mental health. It feels like every week I read a headline about the mental health crisis on college campuses.
It's a critical failure point. The analysis we're looking at is scathing on this. Mental health services at universities are frequently described as inadequate.
Inadequate how? Like bad advice?
No, simply inaccessible, long wait times, limited resources. If a student is in crisis in October, but the next available appointment at the counseling center is in January, that is a failure.
That's not a failure. That's dangerous. It's treating a crisis like a DMV appointment.
It is. The research suggests universities are entangled in these rigid frameworks. They treat mental health support like a bureaucratic checkbox rather than a critical safety net.
Wow. And on the flip side of well-being is the future, getting a job. If I'm paying all this tuition and dealing with all this stress, am I at least guaranteed a career at the end?
That's the hope, isn't it? But there's a real disconnect here, too. The research points out that career services often lack the necessary industry connections.
Wait, really? I thought the alumni network was the whole selling point.
It varies, but broadly speaking, career centers are often outdated. They offer generic resume advice, how to format a Word doc, but they lack the practical support to navigate a complex, modern job market.
So students are graduating into a gig economy, an AI-driven workforce, and they're doing it without a map.
That's a good way to put it. So you have students who are stressed out, can't get mental health support, and then graduate without a clear path to a job. It sounds less like an ivory tower and more like a pressure cooker.
It really does. It's a verdict that demands attention. Universities need to overhaul their support systems. Well-being has to be at the core of the mission, not just an afterthought.
Or a pamphlet in the welcome packet.
Exactly. Well, talking about pressure, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The one thing that makes everyone sweat when they talk about college: money.
Financial sustainability. It is the bedrock of the problem.
It's expensive. I mean, it is obscenely expensive. And the research backs this up.
Absolutely. The rising cost of education is rendering it inaccessible for a huge portion of the population. We are seeing these substantial debt burdens that cripple graduates for decades.
But don't they have scholarships, financial aid?
They do, but the critique in the analysis is that these are insufficient. Financial aid models are basically band-aids on a bullet wound. The underlying cost structure is just bloated.
So without a real reevaluation of the funding, this problem isn't going away.
No. The criticism about accessibility will just keep getting louder. It's becoming a luxury good in an era where it should be a basic right.
That's a scary thought. But universities aren't just local anymore, are they? They all want to be global players.
They do. Every university wants to be a global university. But again, the ambition outstrips the infrastructure.
What is the barrier there?
They aren't equipped to support international students. It's one thing to accept a student from halfway across the world for their tuition fees. It's another to actually support them.
You mean like language barriers and things like that?
Language barriers, yes, but also visa regulations, cultural assimilation, housing support. The analysis also highlights something we don't often think about: geopolitical tensions.
Oh, right. If two countries get into a trade war, suddenly those exchange programs just evaporate.
Exactly. Economic instability or political shifts can disrupt partnerships overnight. Universities are trying to play on a global stage without a robust strategy for global resilience.
And speaking of resilience, we have to touch on the environment. Every campus I visit has a green pledge or a banner about being carbon neutral by 2050. Is that real, or is it just greenwashing?
The current analysis suggests it's often closer to the latter. Not necessarily malicious, but shallow.
Just pledges without any real action behind them.
Pledges without integration. True sustainability, according to the research, requires a holistic approach. It's not just about putting recycling bins in the cafeteria.
Right.
It needs to be embedded in the research they fund, the curricula they teach, and crucially, where they invest their endowments. If a university claims to be green but invests billions in fossil fuels, that's a contradiction. And right now, that deep integration is missing.
Wow. Okay, let's take a breath here, because we have piled up quite a stack of problems.
We certainly have.
Let's just review. The tech strategy is reactive and messy. The schedule is too rigid for modern lives. The support for mental health and careers is failing. The business model is too expensive. The global strategy is shaky. And the sustainability efforts are surface level.
It is a sobering report card.
It sounds like the ivory tower isn't just broken. It's facing an existential crisis. So what does this all mean? Are we just watching the slow death of the university?
Not necessarily death, but certainly a forced evolution. The main message here is that universities must move beyond these reactive measures. They cannot keep fixing problems only after they become disasters.
So no more waiting for a pandemic to fix the Wi-Fi.
Exactly. They need a fundamental reevaluation of how they deliver education, how they support people, and how they pay for it. They need to fix the roof while the sun is shining, but frankly, it's already starting to rain.
Why does this matter so much to the average listener? Why should they care if universities struggle?
Because if universities don't adapt, they lose relevance, and that matters to all of us. Universities are supposed to be the engines of innovation, the guardians of knowledge, the pathway to social mobility. If they fail, that engine stalls.
It sounds like they're running out of time to get it right.
They might be. The journey to fix this is complex, as the research notes, but it requires urgency.
This has been an incredible look at a system we so often take for granted. It really makes you question the value of that diploma on the wall if the institution behind it isn't keeping up.
It does. And if I could leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Please do.
We often think of universities as the gatekeepers to the future, you know? They hold the keys to careers, to status, to knowledge. But if these gatekeepers refuse to step into the future themselves, If they stay locked in their towers while the world moves on, will society eventually just bypass them entirely? Will we just build new paths to knowledge that leave the university behind as a relic?
That is a fascinating, if slightly terrifying thought. The idea that we might just walk around the gate instead of trying to go through it.
It's already starting to happen.
Thank you so much for walking us through this today. It's been truly eye-opening.
My pleasure. Always good to dig into the reality behind the image.
And thank you for listening. We hope this gave you a new perspective on the places where we learn. We'll be back soon with another topic to unpack. Until then, keep learning, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time.